Last video was certainly a stream of hot takes because it merely consists of my ridiculously stupid opinions, so I think it's a good time as any of us to go back into our comfort zone and talk about other things that we can all agree with. But before we talk about all of those things, I'm not gonna make any sorts of awkward transitions and just straight up say thank you to my new patron, Sawdog, you are fantastic. One of the most requested topics in the past couple of weeks for me is how the Dead or Alive franchise is now toning down the boobs presentation. In an interview by IGN, the Dead or Alive 6 producer and director Yohei Ishimori talked about how he wanted to make Dead or Alive more cool and mature, and to that, all of them make the conscious decision to make the characters less sexualized. Now, of course, this has gotten so many people angry, but the thing is, Dead or Alive 5 also wanted to go this route, but as evidenced by their last game having a boob physics adjustment options, it didn't really happen. The fans wanted sexuality, the fans get sexuality. So the same thing should happen with this one, right? Actually, let's not go that far, because the one thing that you need to know about Dead or Alive 6 is that their focus right now isn't on the fan service. There is some sexuality, but not as explicit as the last game. Instead, their focus is on making Dead or Alive 6 to be more competitive, as evidenced by the E3 interview. I am totally glad that I waited for this one. According to the interview, it's not necessarily esports level competitive, but the fans actually want a lot more solid competitive gameplay in the next Dead or Alive. So it's not that they tone down the fan service, it's just that they don't really focus on them as much as the last game. But the question here is, will Dead or Alive be able to redeem itself from its fan service sexualized past into a more mature direction? And by mature, I mean closer to Mortal Kombat. Look at the amount of close-up punches. This even happens to the women. I can slow down this frame for you, and you can see Helena getting rather beaten up in her face. So not only you can beat up women in the game, but you can also see their bruises. I don't know about you, but I am sold.
Akizuki-kun, 110番よ。了解.
Now, there are some fans who really didn't mind the toning down of the fan service, or at the very least, not focusing on the fan service aspects too much. But there are also quite a lot of them who thinks that the fan service has been a staple of the series since its inception. If the fans don't really mind the fan service, then the game shouldn't get as many backlash as they have right now. But knowing that the game does have a backlash even before it was released, then it's safe to assume that a good portion of the fans aren't happy about it. And here's the thing, the part where I say that Dead or Alive has finally grown up is actually coming from the people who thinks that the previous Dead or Alive games are just immature and tasteless, as in people who don't really enjoy the games themselves. Even in the IGN interview article, as you can see at the comment at the bottom, Kasumi is no longer just a fantasy figure for young boys, but she's also a warrior. IGN, are you implying that she isn't a warrior in the past couple of games? Should we make a drinking game every time a gaming outlet makes softly bigoted remarks? In some respects, I think this can potentially be a good move. And by good move, I mean it's a good move for other game developers to take notes from. Will a game franchise that built a good amount of its reputation through fan service be able to stand by its own merits thanks to its content alone? Will it actually generate enough sales and win the trust of the fans back? What if a game like, say, Senran Kagura decided, hey, let's stop the fan service entirely and just make a hack and slash game? I can't really say for sure, and as someone who is not really a fan of the series, I suggest all of you guys to just wait and see. Maybe it can stand on its own merits as a fighting game, or maybe it does need the fan service to win the fans back after all. Personally, if it's going to be released on Steam, keep in mind that the last game is absolutely moddable, and there's nothing stopping anyone to mod it into ridiculous degrees.